Boys, we have a fucking banger coming up on Saturday. UFC 327, Yuri Prohaska versus Carlos Ulberg. It's a shame that we lost the co-main, but at least it's rescheduled for the Strickland card. This card is still insane without it. Um, Holy shit, man. Just what a card. Every single fight has consequence. Every single fight is important in some way, shape, or form to its division. It's one of the best cards I've ever seen on paper. Everything's meaningful, with the exception, well, Charles Radke isn't meaningful. He's a bum. Okay, shut the fuck up, man. You know what I mean? I mean, like, that's the first fight on the card. It's good shit. Tatiana Suarez, obviously, hey, at least she's a number one contender, basically, right? So, just this card is beautiful. Starting off with my picks from the prelims, we're looking at Charles Radke versus Francisco Prado. This is a great fight to start it off action-wise. Charles Radke is a dog. He's a dog. He's got good striking. He's got all right grappling as well. Good submissions in his last fight. He bounced back after getting flatlined by Mike Malott about a year or two ago, whenever that was. Francisco Prado, on the other hand, is a good fighter, a young fighter as well, with a pretty well-rounded skill set. He has shown up in the UFC so far and has been on a bit of a disappointing run. He's looked a lot better earlier in his career. I just don't think that inconsistency can last for long. Radke, while he is the more experienced fighter, at least as far as age goes, he's been in the gym a lot longer for sure. As far as record goes, it's the same, but I like Prado to pull off the upset here. I don't know why. Radke has never wowed me in all of the fights where he's a big favorite, or a sizable favorite at least. He doesn't really look it until he gets the win. It's always kind of 50-50, and I think Prado has the tools to take advantage of a gun-shy, more grappling-oriented Radke. I like Prado here to win by decision. Maybe 29-28. Maybe it'll probably be a close fight. Should be a fun one, though, to start it off. Moving on, Kelvin Gastelum versus Vicente Luque. I mean, this would be a co-main on a fight night, This is a great fucking fight. Luque moving up. I like Gastelum here. I like Gastelum to... and I hate it because I love Luque. Obviously, everybody who is watching... before pre-COVID era and all that, like, Luque is one of the best fighters from that era as far as entertainment goes, and it's a shame that he's fallen so far down. I like Gastelum by a pitter-pat, boring decision, honestly. It's a fun matchup, but the more I think about it, I think it can be kind of a mediocre fight. There should be some fun striking exchanges, but I see Gastelum kind of incorporating the wrestling and the size, the weight difference, rather. I like Gastelum by decision here. Has fun potential, though. I don't know. Could be a bit slow given where they're both at in their careers. Still, matchup-wise, hell of a one to kick this card off. Markel Medeiros versus Taco Padilla. This is I believe they just made this fight last week. A great fucking fight. Markel Medeiros is a fucking nicely well-rounded, pretty damn powerful striker. And I like Chris Padilla here as well. He's streaking in the UFC. He's got a very high finish rate. He's a very exciting fighter. A tad bit sloppy on the defense, but besides that, it's necessary for the type of high pressure, high finishing style that he has. This is going to be a slugfest. Medeiros is a very, very tough fighter off of the Contender Series, who has looked really good lately. I like Padilla, though. I like Padilla here. I'm going to say by TKO in round 3. I think the pressure gets to Medeiros, and Padilla starts to wilt him against the fence, and he gets the TKO. Moving on to Tatiana Suarez versus Lupi Godinez. I'm surprised at the odds here. I don't feel much conviction about this fight because I don't care that much about Lupi. Tatiana Suarez, I believe she had a bounce back, or it got canceled maybe. Oh, no, okay, yeah. She dominated Amanda Lemos, who doesn't. I'm going to be picking Tatiana Suarez by decision here. Obviously, the reason the odds are so close is because Lupi is a grappler, so people are assuming that she'll be able to stuff the takedowns and keep it standing and piece her up. I think even on the feet, Tatiana probably beats her. I'm just picking Tatiana by decision here. Moving on to Esteban Ribovics versus Mateusz Gamrot. Man, this is a fucking fight and a half. Gamrot is obviously is a bounce back fight. He got destroyed by Oliveira in Brazil last October, I believe it was September. Rybovic's one of the most exciting fighters unranked in the lightweight division, getting a pretty big jump up in competition. I'm kind of split between these guys right now because I'm a big Rybovic's fan, but I can totally acknowledge that he is just not... He's not a top 10 guy quite yet, or at least that's what I think. But then there's Gamrot, who, you know, has a very, very clear way to be beaten, which is if you can just stuff the takedowns and if you have a good gas tank, you're probably going to piece this guy up. And a guy like Rybovic's, if he can keep it standing, will piece Gamrot up. Man, this is a fucking fun matchup. You know, typically I pick the grappler and the striker versus grappler matchup, but Rybovic's has shown good takedown defense in his UFC career. I just don't know if this is the way he gets into the top 10. Gamrot is fucking tough. He's a crafty fighter. He's a crafty vet at this point, Gamrot. You know, he's getting a little bit older. He's got a lot of fights in the UFC under his belt. But you know what? I'm going to go for the upset. I am picking Rybovic's. In a fight where I see a fighter, you know, stuffing all of the takedowns, from a guy like Gamrot especially, I just don't see how he loses. Gamrot, he does have deceptively good striking. He's got decent power. He's able to catch a lot of the people that he's fighting on the feet. He caught Dan Hooker a lot. And say what you want, Dan Hooker's got a crazy chin, so to catch Dan Hooker is impressive. I like Rybovic's here to stuff the takedowns and piece Gamrot up to a 30-27 decision. Maybe one of the rounds is close, but I can just see him stuffing the takedowns and bringing it to Gamrot. It'll probably be a really good fight in that case. I'm picking Rybovic's here. Really, really like that fight. Moving on. Rude Boy Randy Brown versus Kevin Holland. My fucking God. It just gets better and better. Obviously, it's hard to get excited for Kevin Holland, you know? But under the right circumstances, he can have a banger. And this is one of those fights. I have always thought, literally for the entire time that Randy Brown has been in the UFC, even down to his Nico Price fight where he lost, that he has been very overrated and that he doesn't have a very strong chin. I picked Bonfim to destroy him. I picked Jack Della to destroy him. And these are all fights that people thought Randy Brown would have a tough time, or sorry, not have a tough time, would be able to do well in, rather. He's obviously got that long, lanky style, the long, lanky build, very big for the weight class, but so is Kevin Holland. They have the exact same stats, pretty much. I think Randy Brown's going to get flatlined in this fight. I know picking Kevin Holland by finish is crazy. I don't think Randy Brown is a good fighter. And I don't think Kevin Holland's very good either, but I think he's better than Randy Brown. I think Randy Brown is overachieved as far as the streak that he went on last year. And I think Kevin Holland is going to be able to take advantage of all of the defensive lapses in Randy Brown's style. And I think he's going to catch him in the first round or two and put him to sleep. And maybe it'll just be a TKO, normal TKO, but Randy Brown gets put out a lot. He doesn't have a good chin. Kevin Holland's going to TKO him. That's what I think. Maybe he knocks him down and catches him with a sub, but I'm picking TKO round 2. Moving on, Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. The Bellator featherweight title fight that never happened. Wow, this is a fucking banger, man. We are getting a Bellator main event as the prelim main event. This is fun shit, man. Pico coming off of that devastating KO loss, the KO of the year, against Lerone Murphy, who destroyed him. And Patricio Pitbull, I believe, just beat Dan Ige. Dan Ige. I was very weirded out by everybody picking against Pitbull there. He won fairly dominantly as well. One of the first people to really drop Ige on the feet as well. Made him take a knee in that fight. I like Aaron Pico here. But I am very, very worried for his chin. He doesn't have a good chin. And he has the skill set of a top 5 guy, but he has the chin of an absolute... He has a JP Bays chin. He has a JP Bays chin. If you know ball, you know that that's a fucking terrible thing to have. Aaron Pico has a top 5 skill set with a JP Bays chin, and I think Patricio Pitbull absolutely can catch him. Pitbull has some of the strongest hands some of the hardest hitting strikes I've ever seen in the 145 division across any organization. Very hard hitter. Deceptively so. Nobody really talks about it. I think he could totally catch Pico, but given the age gap and given how Pitbull has slowed down since his prime in Bellator, I think Pico can take advantage of that and just dominate Pitbull on the ground. Pitbull is very low to the ground as well, so it might be hard for Pico to take him down, but I think Pico is strong enough to get him on the ground, and I think once Pico has somebody on the ground, he's one of the best grapplers in the sport. Just as far as activity goes and, position over submission and just getting to that spot to really dominate somebody on the ground, I think that's where Pico shines. I think that's why he's gotten the rep that he has outside of the UFC. And I think Pico's going to dominate Pitbull for the most part, and win a decision. 30-27, 29-28 decision, picking Aaron Pico. But of course, he could get caught there. Pitbull could put him out cold. But I'm trusting Pico can make the adjustments after that last fight. Moving on to Nate Landwehr versus Cub Swanson. This fight is just fucking beautiful, man. It's just fucking beautiful. Cub Swanson confirmed he's retiring. This is going to be a great retirement fight for him. I'm picking him to win by TKO. I picked him to win by TKO over Billy Q. He knocked him out cold. Billy Q's just not that good. And I put Nate Landwehr slightly above Billy Q as far as skill goes. I don't think Nate Landwehr is a very great fighter. And I think Cub Swanson has all of the experience. He's got good defense, good head movement at such an old age, 42. And Nate Landwehr, he hits hard, but he kind of needs to get into, the clinch. He's got really good clinch strikes, clinch uppercuts and all that. When they're standing at a range, which is what Cub is so good at, is creating range between his opponents and knowing when to go in with a big 1-2 or a combo or body shots or leg kicks, whatever it is. Cub's got a toolbox to take advantage of what Nate's style innately tries to do, which is get in close and smother you in the clinch and try and knock you out there. I think Cub can steer clear of that, create distance, and catch Nate from the outside. And I think he's going to get a late TKO. I think he's going to get a TKO at the end of the second round or the beginning of the third. I love Cub to win this fight. I think it's a tailor-made matchup for him to win a classic Cub war to finish off his career at a high note. This is going to be a great fight. Definitely probably going to be fight of the night if you ask me. Anything could be fight of the night, but I guess if you look at the potential here, it's probably this, if it's not the Yuri fight. Love that fight, man. Cub Swanson by TKO. Moving on to the Chinny Olympics, baby. It's the Chinny fucking Olympics. These guys might as well be mascots of my fucking channel. This fight's going to be beautiful for the 2 minutes that it lasts. If you're a betting man, under 0.5, hammer that shit. I could see Johnny Walker going with a wrestling-oriented game plan. He tried to do that against Zhang Minyang before he just resorted to leg kicks, and he won by that. But Reyes is a good wrestler in his own right. He wrestled a lot earlier on in his career, and he's kind of abandoned that and went for a more striking-oriented style. I think it's going to cancel out, and it's going to be on the feet, a Dominic Reyes flatline KO. Obviously you have to look at these guys and you have to think like, okay, whoever lands first is going to knock the other out cold. And that's exactly what this fight is, and that's why this fight's fucking beautiful. And it's just like the Gastelum and Luque fight. It's one of those fights where it's like, wow, I can't believe this hasn't happened yet. And it's beautiful that it's happening at this point where they're both kind of shit. I'm picking Reyes to catch Johnny with a big 1-2, kind of like the Krylov fight, and just sleep him. Just absolutely slump him, probably maybe against the fence. This should be awesome. Johnny Walker's going to go in there with some fucking flying whatever. And Reyes is going to have to maybe survive an early onslaught. But I think amidst all that, he's going to be able to, find his range fairly quickly and just push Walker up against the fence and let a 1-2 rip on the chin and just put him out cold. This is going to be fucking fun, man. I love Johnny Walker, by the way. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. More so than Reyes, who I also like, but I love Johnny Walker. But I'm picking Reyes. Whatever happens here, I just hope it's exciting. Should be awesome. Moving on to one of the more interesting fights on the card. Josh Hokett versus Curtis Blades. Josh Hokett is, he's the one in every 3 pay-per-views you have to get a top 5 heavyweight to fight an unranked fighter, because that's just how heavyweight works these days. There is no structure. And that's probably one of the reasons why the division is so dog shit. I understand their need to get a guy like Hokett in the top 5 because he can sell and he's actually kind of exciting. I just think this is a little bit too much too soon. Even Pavlovich couldn't run through Blades in 30 seconds. And for people to believe that Hokett is going to go in there and just destroy Blades in a minute, can it happen? Sure, because Blades is not the smartest fighter. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not. I'm picking Blades by TKO in round 1. I see Hokett going in the first 2 minutes and probably pouring the pressure on Blades. Blades has good defense. He's able to move away, maybe catch Hokett with some counters. And when the dust settles, Blades controls the fight. I think he's got better stand-up. Maybe he doesn't have the more power, but I think he definitely has a better skill set on the feet, and the wrestling will cancel out probably as well. I think he's going to catch Hokett on the feet and put him against the fence, put him down, and TKO him in the first round. I don't know. I don't really see what people see with Hokett. I don't think he's that good. He's entertaining as shit. I just think he would beat guys, he would beat like Tai Tuivasa. He'd beat like Marcin Tybura. It's weird to me that they're throwing him at a top 5 fight, which means that they clearly want him in the top 5. They're trying to push him, but against stylistically one of the hardest matchups you could give him. Yeah, I don't know. I'm picking Blades here by TKO in round 1. I think people are going to be surprised. I think Blades is just really underrated at this point in his career. He's had some bad losses, but he's just... He shouldn't lose to a guy like Hokett. I'm picking Blades round 1 TKO. Moving on, Azamat Murzakanov versus Paulo Costa. Say what you want about this being the new co-main. Action-wise, you're going to get your fill. This is fucking awesome. Obviously, you have Costa, who was in the top 10 of middleweight or so, whatever it was. And he's moving up to 205, fighting in what I think is a number 1 contender fight. The winner of this should be fighting Yuri or ULBERG, whoever wins the main event. This is going to be fucking sick. I am weirded out by the odds only because you'd think Murzakanov would be like, oh, he's going to murder Costa. Like, that's what a lot of people are saying. And also, he's on a crazy run where he's one-tapping people with jabs. People with otherwise good chins like Rakic. But this fight stands out to me because Costa is a guy who can totally take advantage of the weak gas tank that Murzakanov has shown in pretty much every one of his UFC fights that have went the distance. Murzakanov hits like a truck, but past the 230 mark in the second round, he turns into a completely different fighter, and I think that's where Costa could take advantage of the gas tank difference. I think Costa moving up to 205 as well. He's looked good at 205 throughout his career. In the Vettori fight. In the Vettori fight, that was not some fucking domination by Vettori. Costa had his moments. That was a great fight. That was a borderline fight of the year contender when it happened. I think Costa also turned a new leaf against Roman Kopylov. I picked him to beat Kopylov. I picked him to TKO him. He didn't quite do it, but he looked outstanding in that fight. He looked like a completely new version of Costa, a patient version of Costa that takes advantage of inconsistencies in striking defense that his opponent has, good counter punching, just good patience, and he's tempering himself and his cardio is working. I think Costa is going to pull off the upset against Murzakanov, which is a ballsy pick, and I totally understand that. But this matchup is tailor-made, in my opinion, for Costa to win, only because the gas tank and the just power merchant style of Murzakanov, it doesn't translate well to beating a guy like Costa. Costa's going to take advantage of, he's going to make Murzakanov miss for the first couple rounds. Maybe he'll get hit once or twice, maybe he'll get dropped, but I think, again, Murzakanov's going to exert so much energy trying to one-tap Costa in the first round or two that he's going to wilt under the pressure of Costa that eventually wears on him. His cardio is going to start to strongly wear on him. And Costa, towards the end of the second round, is probably going to have his fair share of moments. Maybe win the second, lose the first. And then he's going to come out in the third, and he's going to look like a completely different fighter to Mirzakhanov, who's going to be tired. And I see Costa maybe even dropping Mirzakhanov. I'm under the impression that in Jacoby versus Mirzakhanov, which happened a couple of years ago, Jacoby should have gotten Mirzakhanov out of there if he had a better gas tank. I see this being a repeat of that fight, but Costa is able to catch Mirzakhanov in the third round and probably TKO him. I think the power at 205 for Costa is going to be insane. And I know picking Costa by TKO in 2026 is crazy, but you have to look at the facts here. Costa's skill set is perfect for beating a guy like Mirzakhanov in the later rounds. And I'm going to pick him to do just that. 185 Costa, the power, I would pick him probably to lose the decision because he doesn't have the power to beat a guy like Mirzakhanov. But just the fact that he's moving up to 205 and he's coming off of a good win against a similar striker in Kopylov, at least as far as the hands go, not the kicks, because I know Mirzakhanov's not much of a kicker. I like Costa in this fight, and I'm picking him by round 3 TKO. Or, maybe he drops him and he survives and he wins the decision. But I like Costa to win the second and third rounds here and get the TKO late. Good fucking fight. Good co-main. Moving on to the main event. My second favorite fighter of all time. My number one favorite fighter is Tony Ferguson. And for all the same reasons that I loved Tony, I love Yuri. Because he's a batshit crazy motherfucker. And he's the most exciting fighter in the history of MMA, regardless of division. That's what I believe. He's fighting Carlos Ulberg, who I believe is on a, 9-0 run in the UFC? 9-0 run. Lost his debut against Kennedy. This is a fucking banger. I'm picking Yuri to pressure the shit out of Ulberg in the first round and flatline him against the fence. I see it being a very similar fight to Yuri's debut against Volkan Oezdemir, where he got caught once or twice going in. He's trying to find the range, because every Yuri fight is a losing effort in the first round until he finds his range and really starts to lay it on the guy. I think Ulberg has a very simple counter-punching style that people have been able to take advantage of, but they haven't been able to catch him in fights where he's winning when they figure him out. Jan Blachowicz figured him out late, was not able to capitalize and catch him, lost a decision. Who was it? Yeah, even Oezdemir looked really good against Ulberg. But he wasn't able to find that one shot near the end to put him out. And he ended up losing the decision. This fight is perfect for either of them. Ulberg is going to either counter and flatline Yuri, or Yuri is going to evade the counters and adjust his style in the first few minutes or a couple rounds, and he's going to push the pressure on Ulberg. Ulberg's not going to like it. He's going to be whipping a lot. He's going to be throwing out a lot of feints, trying to catch on to something, throwing big 1-2s, while Yuri's really moving at him, and Yuri's going to be ducking him, big head movement, and just catching Ulberg with big counter shots. I love Yuri in this fight. I see this is one of those fights. There are intangibles in Yuri fights. You don't really get these in fights like, a Hokit Blades or a Reyes Walker. There's an intangible here where you have to let it influence you on who's going to win. Yuri cannot afford to lose this fight. As far as his place in the division goes, as far as what he wants his legacy to be, on some full glaze shit, he wants this more. And I know he wants this more. I think Yuri is going to move in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the first round, and Ulberg is maybe going to catch him with a counter or two. Maybe Yuri takes a knee. Maybe Yuri gets rattled, because Ulberg has power. But Yuri is going to eat that shit. He's going to move forward. He's going to find his range. He's going to find what counters work for him. He's going to he's going to pull Ulberg in to a war. Ulberg's going to be throwing 1-2s at him, trying to counter Yuri's big pressure movements, his footwork. He's going to pull back and catch him with some nice shots of his own, Yuri. He's going to push him up against the fence, and he's going to make him wilt. In the first round, I see Yuri flatlining Ulberg up against the fence with a big 1-2, just like the Oezdemir fight. We've seen it happen to Ulberg before. He does not fare well under pressure, and Yuri is not the type of fighter to let Ulberg pressure him. It's going to be completely Yuri's game until he goes out or ULBERG goes out. And I'm picking ULBERG to go out in round 1. A clean knockout win for Yuri. And the later it goes, the more I favor Yuri as well. But I just see this being... This is going to be Yuri's it performance. This is going to be the capstone of his career, if you ask me. I just can't see him losing this fight. I see Yuri as the 205 champ by the end of the night on Saturday. And who knows? This might be some crazy universe where we're getting Yuri PROCHAZKA versus Paulo Costa for a title. That's going to be crazy if it happens. This is UFC 327. If you liked the video, please subscribe. I make instant reactions after every card, every Saturday, and I drop picks for upcoming cards every Sunday as well. I can't wait to watch this card. I can't wait to make the instant reaction video. I just know this is going to be crazy. What a card. What a card. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Chind.